Hello, and welcome to MSUA Game Changers webcast, where we speak with satellite and mobile connectivity thought leaders about industry trends and share what you need to know about the future of mobile satellite communications. I'm your host, Roger Lanto, and I'm excited to introduce Wouter Deknopper, Vice President and General Manager, Maritime line of business at Iridium Communications. Wouter is responsible for bringing new services and products to market in alignment with Iridium's business objectives, while attuned to the needs of the end users in maritime industries. Iridium is an MSUA member and winner of the MSUA 2024 Innovation Award for Maritime Mobile Innovation for its Certus GMDSS for Global Maritime Distress and Safety System. Iridium describes GMDSS as a generational advancement in maritime satellite communication safety services. The company says it is the only truly global GMDSS service available featuring distress alert, safety voice, and maritime safety information, MSI, and including additional regulated services like long-range identification and tracking, LRIT, and ship security alert system, SSAS, with the fastest weather-resilient broadband service available for conducting ship's business when other systems are blocked or unavailable, something we're going to get into during this chat. Okay, Wouter, that's a lot. Let's start with a little insight into your satellite industry journey, and then let's dig into safety on the high seas. How did you get to where you are today at Iridium Communications?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks, Roger, for having me on the show. It's been quite a journey that started almost, I would say, 30 years ago. So in 1997, I joined a company called Site Communications, SAIT, was part of that group, a Belgian company with a very long history, going even back to 1911, founded by the King of Belgium, or with the help of the King of Belgium, and it was linked to Marconi. And so Marconi, as most of the viewers will know, was a pioneer in radio communication. And so, so that was in 1911. 1912, then the Titanic disaster happened, and that's really when Marconi and Site grew a lot with wireless communication systems on board ships. So obviously, I was not born at that time. I joined in 97, but in 97, okay, we were in the satellite era, but it's not like we were, very advanced in terms of communications on board ships at that time. I mean, I still remember that, fax, telex, there was no internet. It was dial-up connections that were pretty expensive. It is also at that time in 99 that GMDSS was launched, so from the incumbent provider. So it was an interesting time. And then in 2002, I joined Marlink, still a very reputable company today. Part of Telenor at that time, the Norwegian PTT. And then in 2005, I basically landed at Iridium. And so for the last 20 years, I've been with Iridium now in mostly maritime roles, where in 2017, I was then asked to be part of, let's say, the maritime team and take the lead on that. And it was an interesting time because it was a time when, as you know, we were launching the new satellite constellation. We were launching Certus. We got GMDSS launched into the market. So yeah, a lot of interesting things happening.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the Titanic. It seems like sometimes it takes disasters to bring about innovation and solution solving. But what are the issues surrounding safety at sea today? I'm sure there are crises unfolding everywhere, all at once, all the time. My naive perspective is that there are a lot of things that can go wrong, which I think is reflected in your solution. But take us through it.
Yeah. So I think there's a bit of an echo on the line. So maybe it's if you could mute.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
I'll go back to my original plan.
Perfect.
Is
okay.
That better?
Yeah. That's much better. So I mean, there's a lot of things that could go wrong on the high seas. I mean, there's Of course, the environmental hazards, storms, fog, harsh temperatures, thinking about the Titanic and the iceberg collision so many years back. But there's also mechanical breakdowns that could happen. I mean, thinking about, rudders that get damaged was quite popular right now. You may have seen, or the viewers may have seen, that Netflix documentary about the Carnival Triumph cruise ship that got a fire in the engine room, and basically all of the electrical systems were wiped out. So there was no communication, there was no air conditioning, there was nothing that was working, and the vessel was adrift. So that was obviously a big issue, and you could even see there on the ship that one of the crew members was using a satellite Iridium 9555 to still make a connection to the shore. So that was really quite a situation there. But I would say overall, and that is also acknowledged and researched by the IMO, is that 80% of all the bad things that could happen at sea always have some human element involved in it. And so, I mean, it could be crew fatigue, it could be lack of training, a lot of that, but it could also be linked to geopolitical issues surrounding the world right now. As we all know, there's these ships go through quite hostile environments, thinking about, Straits of Hormuz, certain parts around Africa where piracy is again a rising threat, where we have a lot of sabotaging of jamming and spoofing of GNSS equipment of ships. So there's a lot of that going on, and I'll come back on that. But I think where we play a role as Iridium in all of this is that we want to keep the ships safe and secure. Basically, we need to be prepared for the unpredictable, so to speak. And so shipping is a global business, so it's important that with our network that is truly global, we can follow the ships wherever they are. Yes, there are other networks too, but even the new networks like the new LEOs with Starlink, they are not truly global in a sense that there are geo-restricted areas around the planet where they cannot or are not allowed to function, so we don't have that issue. And then also, I think where we set ourselves apart and assist on safety and security is the fact that we are an L-band network. We operate in the L-band frequency. Basically means that we have a very disaster-proof call path. Also the reason why IMO, after all these years, recognized Iridium as the second ever GMDSS provider. And also the reason why we can offer mandatory services like SSAS and LRIT. So keeping ships safe is also an example I can give you with SafetyCast. So each of our GMDSS terminals on ships, and we have now a number of thousands on ships, each of them receive maritime safety information in the region where they operate. So they receive when let's say the maritime safety information provider send data, we broadcast them to the ships, and that could be navigational warnings or it could be meteorological information. So that is really a role in safety and security that we play, but also a role, I think, and now more than ever, in, as we all know, it's not a one-size-fits-all on board ships. It's not like a ship will only sail with Iridium. But it's also not the case that a ship will only sail with a VSAT or a Starlink. It's basically a hybrid connectivity setup where we feel we can contribute as an essential L-band part on board those ships. It's kind of an insurance policy. If your Starlink, if your VSAT is out, you know that you can still run ship's business as usual. So it would be quite... it would not make sense to have a multi-million-dollar asset at sea just with some commodity broadband and nothing that is, no connectivity that is so resilient and worldwide available, basically.
Oh, we need some quality of service commitment here, right?
Yeah, I mean, and the quality of service is basically what we what we in a way offer, I mean, the fact that we are recognized as a GMDSS provider means that we have an uptime of 99.99. So it's, I mean, that is a proof point and a credibility stamp as such on our network, and it's something that is hard to get, and it's something that is also on a quarterly basis. We have, the regulator comes over to do all the exercises to make sure that we still fit and that we're still up to the spec, basically.
And it sounds like your technology plays a role in collision avoidance at sea.
Well, I think in terms of maritime domain awareness, yes, we can provide alternative position navigation timing solution. It is something which we have been deploying, Iridium PNT, or what we call Iridium STL, satellite time and location, is basically an augmentational alternative to complement GNSS or GPS. GNSS is the more overall word. It includes GLONASS, Baidu, Galileo, and it complements that, basically. So it is, especially these days when we are seeing a lot of spoofing and jamming. All the shipping companies, to be honest, that we talk to these days, they all report and they tell us about incidents that they've had. Could be in the Baltic Sea, could be in the Black Sea, could be in Straits of Hormuz. It's basically, unfortunately, on the rise and all over the place. So being able to have that alerting, to have that, alternative position that is secure when you need it is quite essential. And the technology is really strong. It's supported by our network of LEO satellites. And because it is LEO, we are way closer to the Earth than GPS MEO satellites. So our signal is 1,000 times stronger. It even can be received indoors. So the service that we are going to roll out now to the maritime market, and I would ask the viewers to stay tuned on it, because there will be more news coming in the coming weeks and months about this, is definitely something that is much asked for in the maritime market, and it kind of complements our safety and security role that we already play. Thinking about GMDSS, thinking about SSAS, LRIT, we see this as a natural extension of keeping ships safe and secure.
And how has the service evolved over time?
You mean okay? So the service of GMDSS, yeah. So well, I think with GMDSS, as I mentioned, it was put in place in '99. It was kind of a monopoly situation at the time for almost 20 years. And what I learned at school is that when you're in a monopoly situation, it doesn't drive a lot of innovation, right? So what we brought to the table as Iridium is not only choice for the first time to the mariner. Giving choice is important, but also innovation. And one of these innovations, strangely enough, I would say, was to add safety voice. And I think if you would ask anyone on the street, like, okay, you have the 911 service, emergency service in the US, or we have the equivalent in Europe with the 112 service, emergency service. If you would ask someone to text if there is an emergency, it would not go down well. It's so obvious that it doesn't really help safety. So this is for us where we came with our version. Well, Iridium GMDSS, basically, that was key, that we would also provide distress safety voice. And that has been much appreciated by the rescue coordination centers, because basically the way it works is that when you push on a GMDSS Iridium system the distress button for 3 seconds, it not only sends that message, that distress message, to the RCC, so the operator can see it on the screen, he can see the map where the ship is, he can see all the data of the ship, the whereabouts, but at the same time, he's going to be on the phone with that person who pushed the button, basically. And that is really strong because it kind of helps to give contextual information. The crew member that is pushing that button might be stressed out because of the incident that is happening. So it facilitates much the rescue coordination of ships. And something else that we brought to the table with GMDSS obviously is also the fact that it's now truly global, where GMDSS is the global system, but in a way it wasn't global for 20 years. So ships sailing on the poles, they can now also enjoy that level of safety. And so I think we've brought a lot of innovation to that space. There's other examples as well with Citadel solutions where we have brought innovation. Citadel, to the viewers, it's basically a panic room, a safe room in a ship, typically below deck, hidden, but it needs an independent means of communication. Not just a cable with a phone from the bridge, because that's the first thing that the pirates would basically attack. So if there is a pirate incident, the crew will retreat into that safe room, and then you need to have a strong communication capability. And so again, piracy was there about 15, 16 years ago. It was a hot topic. At that time, we've seen a lot of adoption in the last, I would say, decade of handset in a docking station with a long cable, small antenna, so that they still have an independent means of communication. But now with Iridium Certus, we can kind of create that Citadel 2.0, where not only we provide multiple voice lines to the crew and ship tracking, but when they are in that safe room, they can continue to do messaging through the IP link that we offer. They can also get some CCTV footage from the ship, so to see what's going on. So it provides a more comprehensive solution now, based again on the Certus platform. So I think at Iridium with the Certus platform, it serves a lot of different applications, SSAS, LRIT, but also Citadel and GMDSS.
So how much of what GMDSS offers is required by regulation, and how much extends beyond regulatory requirements? And just more generally speaking, what is the role of, what is the regulatory environment around this application area?
Yeah, so GMDSS, the Global Maritime Safety and Distress System, is a requirement from the IMO. It's for SOLAS ships, so the larger ships, also passenger ships. And so we got recognized in 2018, and we became operational in 2020. So the essential thing about GMDSS is it's a distress alert, and it's also maritime safety information that is being broadcasted to the ships. So that are really the key requirements. Of course, there's key requirements about that, the uptime that you need to prove to have. So all of that. But again, what we added was safety voice, which is not a requirement by IMO, but we feel it's so obvious that you should have it, that we are doing it. What we also developed together with our world-class manufacturers, Cobham, Thales, Intellian, Larstrana, is that we combine the different safety and security applications on one terminal, where they work independently. So a GMDSS terminal is at the same time can be an SSAS terminal. And SSAS is basically ship security alert system. It's like a silent alarm in a bank, where if you have a security situation, you would push a silent alarm on the bridge. also LRIT. So it's all in one basically. And that together then also with the non-safety part of it, and there is a wall between, so none of the users should ever be concerned about, doing non-safety applications on that terminal, because of the SIM card inside, there is preemption and prioritization on the network. So in case there is a distress, in case there is something happening, everything will be cut automatically, and that will always get the first priority. But it is important that, because on a ship there's not that much place for real estate, that you can combine a bit terminals, and you can combine different applications on one terminal. It also makes it more affordable, to be honest, because we're always thinking about SOLAS ships, where you need to have it mandatory. But we have also seen a lot of adoption of Iridium GMDSS in the non-SOLAS market, thinking about smaller yachts, sailing boats that go transatlantic. It's kind of a no-brainer that you should have a GMDSS system on board your sailing boat if you go transatlantic or out at sea. So because of the smaller form factor and the fact that we made GMDSS more affordable, those types of customer segments can now also adopt GMDSS. There may be one carriage requirement that I forgot to mention, is the fact that each ship, typically by the flag states, should have two GMDSS stations. If you go in A3 area, which is basically deep sea area, then you should have two satellite GMDSS systems. And obviously from our viewpoint, that should be two Iridium systems. Right now, obviously, because it was so long a monopoly, there's still a lot of systems from the incumbent provider, but we are seeing a strong adoption of Iridium because of these innovations that we brought, but also because of the fact that if you think about the longevity of the network, we announced it, I think, last year, is that our network will continue to work flawlessly beyond 2035. And this is an important point when, let's say, a vessel owner or a vessel manager needs to make a purchase decision, is that he's secure that in the next 10 years, the system will still be approved, working up to the spec. So it's also important from that perspective, so to speak.
By the way, much as I hate to mention a competitive issue, but I feel compelled to ask the question.
Sure.
So Starlink has had a big impact, from what I understand, in the maritime sector. But what portion of the maritime market are they impacting?
Yeah, I think. Well, to be honest, I think Starlink. I asked. People, when they ask me sometimes, or they tell me over the last 2 years, there's been more change than in the last almost 20 years. And a big part of that is some of the disruption that the new LEO entrants, especially Starlink, brought to the market. We are a network. We don't go direct to the end customers. We work with our world-class partners, service providers, and our VAMs. And it's no secret that the market has been put upside down. Business models have been disrupted. It has impacted the VSAT market, the GEO VSAT market, which was always very strong growing. It has impacted even 4G, where we are seeing that Starlink may be an even more affordable option than a 4G system. So it definitely impacted a lot the market. And there's this, we often get the question like, who's going to win this GEO-LEO battle? Because we are a LEO, but then again, we are not the same, because we are not in the KU frequency, we are L-band. So I would say that we have our own swim lane, just like we never competed in the past with VSAT technology, because they have their attributes and we have our benefits. we are kind of a natural companion. And that's what we have proven over the past, I would say, 10, 15 years, first with OpenPort Pilot and with Certus, is that we have been complementary to VSAT. And in the same way now, and especially reinforced by the GMDSS capability over the Certus platform, we feel like we are a perfect companion, call it a backup, to these commodity broadband players like, for instance, Starlink, and more coming, no doubt. But it's still a very rational choice and a wise choice not to depend only on one capability from one operator. So yeah, I think it definitely disrupted. We see it as an opportunity as well, because we do feel that, with our strong GMDSS offering and safety and security offering, and also what I just mentioned in terms of the satellite time and location, the more resilient GNSS type of capabilities that we can provide, that we can stay and grow within our swim lane, aside from, let's say, all the battles that are going on in the commodity broadband space.
And finally, what's next for Iridium in the maritime market for satellite technology, and where can people learn more about the latest solutions? But in that context, can we come back to the conversation about the jamming that was taking place at the Strait of Hormuz, and obviously a couple of tankers collided. There was I guess, relatively small outburst of fire in that collision, but the jamming played a significant role there, and I think you had some thoughts in that regard.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think on what's coming. First of all, we've been very focused on GMDSS, and in the next, I would say, 10 months, the viewers of the show will see that there's going to be a lot of news coming. We have Intellian, Cobham, Larstrana, Thales coming out with GMDSS Certus products. It's basically GMDSS add-ons to the already existing and proven Certus technology out there, but they will wheel mark. They are now going through the certification of their products. So there's going to be way more choice coming in the safety and security place in the months coming, and also these players like Cobham, Intellian will come out with Citadel versions of their terminals. So a lot happening there. And then, yeah, as I mentioned, I think on the capabilities of secure PNT technology, that's where we are now going to go to market with these capabilities. I mean, it's a proven technology from the last number of years, because the timing element has been proven. We have today a lot of applications, for instance, in data centers around the world. So, but also, let's say, the on-the-move capability of then positioning is something that is very worthwhile, which we will bring out in aviation, land, and maritime. And so we really see it as another insurance policy that, in my mind, a ship should have. It's a multi-million-dollar asset. There's thousands of ships going through the Straits of Hormuz, as an example. So you can't navigate blind in these areas, and that's where our solution, Iridium STL, it's not going to be an alternative to your, let's say, navigation. It's not like an alternative to your ECDIS, but it will be, a proof point and a security, an insurance that if something is going wrong, it's going wrong, and you also know basically where you really are. And also in terms of the jamming, because it is at sea, okay, and because our signals are so much stronger, I think we can really provide a solution there where it's very difficult to disrupt our signals. I mean, we have seen that on land, and so on maritime we feel like, okay, if you're out at sea, it will be even more difficult. So we already had a number of conversations with shipping companies. Also, our partners have had that, and also shipping companies. To be honest, they contacted us because they read about it, and so we are having calls to educate shipping companies about this capability, what it is, what it can do for them, and also what it isn't. So it is important to let them know exactly what the capabilities are and the benefits. But we certainly feel like this can help safety at sea, and it's also not something that is going to disappear tomorrow. This threat has been there, and it's quite easy, to be honest, to jam and to spoof. So it's definitely going to be a hot topic, just like piracy was a hot topic for now almost 15 years. This is going to be a hot topic for the next 10 years and more.
And where do I get information about Iridium, its latest products and services?
Yeah, so we have obviously on the Iridium website. I would also encourage the viewers to stay close to our value-added manufacturers, Intellian, Cobham, Larstraan, and Thales, because they are also coming out with a lot of new Iridium capabilities. And we also have, specifically on GMDSS, we have the Iridium GMDSS Academy. And that is a specific website that has curriculum for like nautical schools, for surveyors, for everybody who wants to learn about GMDSS, because again, it's been so long the monopoly of one provider that we feel there's a lot of education that needs to be done, a lot of questions need to get answered, and so all of these answers can be found at the Iridium GMDSS Academy. So we can definitely provide the link to the MSUA community so that they can also learn a lot about it.
Definitely going to take advantage of that. So thank you for sharing that, Wouter. So I want to thank the Mobile Satellite Users Association for hosting these sessions. You can learn more about the MSUA at msua.org. You can learn how to get our weekly newsletter that gives you updates on everything that's happening in the industry and shares information about upcoming events. And you can also find out how to become a member. We look forward to seeing you next time on MSUA's Game Changer webcast. And again, Wouter, congratulations on the Innovation Award last year, and looking forward to seeing you again at next year's event. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Roger.
Okay.
Thank you all. See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.